8 years ago, a man named Wilfred arrived at a hotel and began to write a story. In 1922, in rural Alaska, a man named James and his wife, Sarah, lived with their son Henry. Sarah had inherited over 4,000 acres of good farmland, and together with the land they already owned, it totaled over 7,000 acres. All this land was meant to be passed down to their son, Henry, which was very important in those days, because land and sons represented a man's honor. Henry was a bright young boy. At just 14, he was already learning how to manage the farm from his father and was doing very well. To others, James seemed to have a perfect life with a loving family and lots of land. But Sarah was not happy. She didn't want to be a farmer and wanted to sell the land to move to the city. Her dream was to open a clothing store. This led to constant fights between James and Sarah. Sarah even planned to sell the land, split the money, and get a divorce so they could live separate lives. She told James that she had already found a buyer who would soon arrive with cash to buy the land. Since the land belonged to her, James had no say in the matter. James knew that if they got divorced, he would lose both the land and his son. Seeing how determined Sarah was, he asked for some time to think. As he looked at an axe on the farm, a dark thought came into his mind. He could kill his wife. That way, he would keep the land and his son. Once such a terrible thought takes hold, bad things are sure to follow. James waited for the right moment. One day, he found out that his son, Henry, had fallen in love with a girl named Anna. James immediately saw a way to use this. While Henry was working in the fields, James told him, "Soon you will have a life without Anna and without a father, because your mother plans to sell our land and take you away." Henry was confused and didn't know what to do. James saw his chance and suggested that Henry could change everything, but he warned that someone might get hurt or even killed. Henry seemed to understand what his father was saying and walked away without a word. Later that day at dinner, Henry tried to convince his mother not to sell the land. Sarah got angry and slapped him hard across the face. She told him, "The land is mine and I'm going to sell it," taking advantage of his wife being drunk and passed out. James, with his son's help, killed her. Henry held a sack over her head, while James held her down and killed her with one blow. The two of them carried her body to a dry well. To hide the smell of the body, James and Henry led a bull to the edge of the well. They hit the rotted cover, and the bull fell 100 meters down. While the bull was crying out in pain, James shot it. He only calmed down when the well became silent. Afterward, they quickly filled the well with sand and dirt. The next day, when police came to investigate, James lied and said the bull had been stolen and that his wife had left home after a fight. The officer looked suspicious, but left because he couldn't find any proof. James thought he had covered his tracks perfectly, but that evening, he heard the moaning sounds of cattle coming from the barn. He grabbed his rifle and went to check. He found countless rats crawling out of a pipe that led to the dry well. When he looked inside, the terrible smell of decay made him throw up. He quickly plugged the pipe with a rag. The next day, to completely solve the problem, he mixed a bucket of cement and sealed the pipe. He thought he had done everything perfectly, but then strange things began to happen that left him speechless. Title 1922. Please comment next and follow me for more recaps.